In today's video, right, Birdie's quick fix, and every time I read this, my brain just instantly goes to Conker's Bad Fur Day, a god tier game. If you haven't played it, find an emulator. It is honestly like one of the best games I've actually ever played. It's hilarious. Anyway, Birdie's quick fix. It's an exotic backpack, comes with the talent Combat Medic, plus 50% revive speed and negative 50% weakened debuff. Don't know what the weakened debuff is after you die and someone or your revive hive picks you up, you'll have a icon on your hotbar under where all your ammo and everything is, and it looks like a heart with a line through it. This is a weakened state. Don't actually remember what it does, just that while that weakened state is up, if you die again, you're instantly down and out. I think you also take an increase in damage, as well as you can't have health gate proc, which means you basically need to play it safe. That's what the weakened debuff is. On top of that, it provides 50% damage resistance to both you, the reviver, and the other player, the revive E, when being revived. Upon a successful revival, you get +1 skill tier for 30 seconds. If you're already at skill tier 6, it will grant an overcharge for 15 seconds. The unique thing here is it does not seem to have a cooldown. Now, before we go any further, I need to give a massive shout out to Chaos. Find him over at www.twitch.tv/Eternal Chaos. He took a massive chunk of his day and streaming to basically pay my punching bag so I can actually get some group footage with this item, because obviously it is very much a group item. It doesn't work in solo. So massive shout out to him and a massive thank you very much, Chaos. There'll be a link in the description to his Twitch channel if you want to go check him out. He too is another angry Brit, so I'm sure you'll like him. Right, first off, let's go over some pros for this backpack. First off, it can cause immortality. It's hard to do, but it can cause complete and utter immortality. Point 2, permanent overcharges, which is a plus, I suppose. Don't worry, I will be going over these in more detail because already some of you probably have a few arguments against these. Point 3 is everyone dies. You actually get a bonus from people dying, which is great. Probably not the best thing to build around, but there we are. And then point 4 is it is incredibly easy to use, simply just because all you got to do is revive someone. So those are the pros. Cons: doesn't really fit comfortably into any build. You can put it into basically any skill tier 6 build, but it's not comfortable. You're going to be sacrificing something somewhere. The revive hive exists. The bonuses to reviving, like revive hive still does it quicker. The results are always inconsistent, like no matter what. Does not work with the revive hive, so you don't get the bonuses if you actually just use the revive hive in the first place. It is a very, very wonky playstyle. It does nothing in solo play, and it needs dead teammates. Like, it seems weird to be making a build that revolves around having teammates that are dead, rather than trying to keep them alive. Now, when it comes to build, the only build that I could really think of that would really make this backpack shine for what it is something along the lines of this. 4-piece strikers, all rolled yellow, a chest capiece, and then this backpack. The reason for this is we are basically relying on the overcharge for the backpack to turn our shield immortal, so we can be really tanky, but we still are a DPS option. Putting it on something like a skill build mostly seems to be like a bit of a waste, because if you don't have that survivability, you can't actually get to your teammate to revive them in the first place, because you just die, which is horrific. Now, there is one thing I need to explain that I asked Chaos to do in this video, and that is he can play whatever he wants, however he wants. However, he is not allowed to take cover. And I maybe get like 3-4 revives, which is what I mean by this build being inconsistent. If you're with a good player, even if they don't take cover, it's not like you're going to have this up all of the time, and it becomes incredibly, incredibly inconsistent. Anyway, let's start with the pros. How can this cause immortality? Well, like I said, it's a combination of swapping between that 50% damage resistance and essentially having like an immortal shield. because when a shield is overcharged, it gains the ability Shield Wall, which means your shield is now invulnerable, and overcharge lasts for 15 seconds. Because this doesn't have a cooldown, essentially if you're able to revive someone every 16 seconds, you get 50% damage resistance for like 5 seconds after you revive them, which you'll back up with your armor and health, and then your shield is also immortal, so it can cause immortality. It legitimately can. It's just not very practical to do because you need someone to die every 16 seconds. So if you are going to go that way, play in a full 4-man group and have everyone run perfect last cannon and just live up life. It's probably the only practical way I can really see this even remotely happening. Permanent overcharges. This was something I tested during a live stream. While you have one overcharge active, if another teammate dies and you revive them, it refreshes the overcharge, which shouldn't be happening. So essentially you can have someone die every 10 seconds and no point will you come off overcharge. It's utterly ridiculous. The practical use for this is actually very, very limiting, simply because things like BTSU gloves exist. Why would you want one player who has a severely compromised build to have a permanent overcharge when you could have them run BTSU gloves and give strategic or timed overcharges to the entire team regardless of what build they're running? Like, it is a thing, it is a pro, but as to why, I honestly can't think of as to why you would want this. The next pro is everyone dies, which is completely true. At no point has anyone ever in this game gone, haha, I've never died once. Everyone dies. Having a mechanic in the game or an item in the game that benefits from people dying is actually really good. It's one of the reasons I actually really like this backpack. I just wish it worked differently in some way. I'm hard pressed to think of a way in which that could be implemented, but I would like to see something else other than what they've actually done with it. Simply just because the overall uptime of it and having people basically die on repeat to make use of what this backpack even has is very, very... You can't even call it sporadic. It's, yeah. And then the final pro, which is easy to use, which it really is. It's so easy to use. Literally just revive someone. Manually. Annoyingly. The revive speed is great, especially if they're down but not out. That's when you can still crawl around. The revive speed on that is great. It's really fast. It's about as fast as a revive hive normally, but when they're down and out, which is when you basically get the grayed out screen and you can tab to view other players, it's still really slow, or it feels really slow. It is definitely faster, but it feels really, really slow, which feels a bit weird. I would like to see that part of it increased. However, at that point, the revive hive revive speed doesn't actually change. And we have the necromancer build in the game, which serves what this would be doing so much better. Cons, doesn't really fit into any build. This is completely true. No matter what build you actually put it in, it's going to be sacrificing something. A lot of people I've seen have been trying to fit it into the new refactor set, which refactor doesn't take any benefit from repair skills. So you kind of actually have a dead bad backpack, essentially. No matter where you put this, it kind of becomes a dead piece until someone dies, and that's only if you're the one to revive them. The next con would be the revive hive still exists, and then in combination with that, the necromancer build exists, which works so much quicker, so much easier. You don't actually have to run over and manually pick them up. You can just throw a revive hive at them, and if they're down and out, it's still so much quicker. Oh no, you don't get the overcharge. That's why we use BTSU gloves. I've already covered why this build is inconsistent, and it is quite simply it's relying on players going down, and if you really want to maximize it, you need someone to go down every like 15 to 16 seconds, which is a weird thing to be hoping for. The next thing is the bonuses from the backpack do not apply to revive hive. The revive hive doesn't get like a 50% increase in revive speed. It doesn't decrease the player's weakened state. You don't get the overcharge from it. Like, the revive hive is still so much better than doing the manual revive with this backpack, which then leads into the whole wonky playstyle, simply because, like I said, the necromancer build exists, as well as the Revive Hive is just better. So the overall playstyle with this not fitting comfortably into any build as well, it's just weird. And then if you're playing this solo, obviously this item does quite literally nothing. And then the final point, and it's something that's basically been like the hinge of this entire thing, of the mechanic. I like the idea of the mechanic relying on dead teammates, but it actively needs dead teammates and then for you to revive them. This would be like okay if you're playing in duo, but relying on dead teammates in duo for the whole mechanic of how this to work is really bad. You would need it to be a 4-man group for this backpack to really shine. And even then, you're relying on so many obstacles. It's a really good idea. I kind of wish it was sort of like when a teammate dies, you get X buff. And then if you revive them through Revive Hive or not, Revive Hive or manual, you got then another buff. I don't know, like every time a player goes down, or maybe not every time, but like when a player goes down, you restore 1 charge on the Revive Hive, cooldown 30 seconds. Picking up a player with manual or Revive Hive gets those and the bonuses on the actual backpack. This way, at the very least, we could pair it with the Necromancer build and then have like the extra caveat of manually picking up a teammate provides an overcharge for the entire team, cooldown 2 minutes or something. That would be more beneficial. That would actually give it a place somewhere. At the moment, I really like it. I really like this backpack, but not because it's good. I just like the idea behind it of having a bit more of a combat medic. I mean, that's the name of the talent, but like an actual combat medic styled play, which I'm all down for. I think that's like the main reason I like it. Like that's like the style of play I like to do in these style of games. So it really does kind of suit what I want. I just don't think it's been implemented very well at all. I think it's been actively implemented very, very poorly. So yeah. Anyway, that is going to be it for this video. Let me know what you think about the new Birdie's quick fix. Apparently it's not that quick. However, in the meantime, have fun. Good luck. Don't die. It's bad for the health.